reached out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment at this point.
They don't see it. My first statement was, think about your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on this unusually warm Tuesday for February. Man, it is hot. It felt like summertime today, but I am told it's not going to last long, maybe the rest of the week, but the weekend should feel more like February weather. Glad to have you here. Appreciate your support tonight. We've got a power-packed hour tonight. Coming up at about 8:15 tonight, we'll have a conversation about the Grammys with the one and only Tambra Cherie from 97.7 and the Belle Collective. So we are excited to have her on board tonight to talk about the Grammys, give us a recap, kind of talk about fashions and that Beyonce country music win. FYI, Beyonce is the first Black woman in nearly 50 years to ever win a Grammy in the country music category. That was just a little research I did today, because I'll let you know a little secret. I didn't watch the Grammys, but I know that we got to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it with Tambra Cherie. That's coming up at about 8:15. Also, a little later in the broadcast, we'll have an opportunity to talk to my brother, Griffin. If you follow his Facebook page, he talks a lot about politics. And so we're going to talk about the mayor's race coming up at about 8:40 this evening. But first, we want to thank you for supporting. The Cash App is rolling across the screen. Feel free to support. You know what? You're supporting Black media, right? We're not bound by deadlines. We're not bound by, editorial constraints. We're not bound by any of those things. I see you, Queen. Glad to have you here. We're not bound by those things. We can tell stories, and we can tell complete stories. And so you're supporting Black media by helping us, by donating to us, and we are grateful for that. I want to begin the broadcast tonight talking just for a little bit about State Representative Earl Banks. Let me tell you, we were scheduled for tonight's broadcast to have some members of the House, young leadership, freshman leadership. Hey, Nettie, how are you? Man, I got to get you and Rhonda on so we can help promote your show and talk about what you're doing, but we're going to get to that. But for tonight, we were scheduled to have some young leaders on, some folk in the House, folk over at the Capitol that are doing amazing work, right? Not listening to the establishment. And when I say not listening to the establishment, I don't mean that in a disrespectful kind of way. Not going along with the status quo is what I mean. They listen, take advice, glean wisdom and all of that. They do all of those things. But as far as just voting, just because that's the way you guys have always voted, these young people don't do that. They listen, they read, they comprehend, right? They do all of these things, and therefore they can make sound, intelligent decisions. But because Earl Banks is so vindictive, and they did not want their work to be impeded by his ignorance, right? They didn't want their work to be impeded by that, and they opted not to come on tonight. It was like, give us a couple of weeks, let this settle down, and we'll be glad to reschedule and come on. I said, let's just cancel it. I wouldn't want to jeopardize any of the work that you guys are doing. You're doing some amazing work. So we just canceled it all together. But who is this bully, Earl Banks? Who is this bully, Earl Banks? This is the same bully and ignoramus that the Board of Supervisors at Hinds County listened to and thus gave the directives for the county administrator to terminate me. This bully, Earl Banks, has been in the House of Representatives since 1993. Since 1993, this man has been at the Capitol, right? Since 1993, this man has been at the state capitol as a representative. I dare anybody to tell me anything that he's done. What bill has he passed that he authored? Not just that he jumped on and co-signed with somebody else, but what bill has this man led that's been passed? Right? What bill? Name one bill. He's been in the House since 1993. He's been a state representative since 1993. I dare someone to name one thing that he's gotten done. Now, I will tell you what, he's gotten some resolutions done. Resolutions, they're not bills. Who's going to turn down honoring someone as amazing as Pamela Jr.? Honored her on her retirement. Who's going to turn that down? Who's going to deny honoring someone as amazing, whose career has been absolutely stellar? Who's going to deny that? But when you go do a little research on him, that's what you find. But let me tell you who the Hinds County Board of Supervisors listened to, right? It said that I questioned his integrity when I talked about benchmarks, when I talked about measurable outcomes in the form of a question. This is who said that I questioned his integrity. Let's talk about this. Federal judge sentences State Representative Earl Banks to probation for a tax crime. He pleaded guilty to these charges. By pleading guilty, Earl Banks avoided a trial. He has been in the Mississippi House since 1993. The conviction does not prevent him from continuing to serve at the state capitol, and he intends to remain in office. That's according to his attorney at the time. Conviction of many felony charges disqualifies people from holding public offices in Mississippi, but convictions for manslaughter or violating federal tax laws do not prevent people from seeking or holding office, including a legislative seat. In May of 2023, Banks pled guilty as part of a plea agreement with the United States government. He pled guilty to willfully making a false material statement on a federal income tax return to the tune of $582,000. He received the money through the sale of property his family owned. Talk about integrity, talk about morals. Talk about questioning his morals, questioning his integrity. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So he got 2 years of probation during a sentencing that happened a couple of years ago. The restitution was nearly $85,000, which he already paid. I wonder if he paid that with the MLK money that I questioned. I wonder if he paid that nearly $85,000 to the federal government from the MLK money, since they couldn't tell me what they do with the money, right? They couldn't tell me what they do with the money. But this is who the Hines County Board of Supervisors listen to. This man of good standing, this noble person. Come on, man. Give me a break. But been in office since 93. And I challenge anybody to look at his record and find out what he's done. I could tell you what he did do. I could tell you how hypocritical he really is. Let me tell you how hypocritical he really is. So he acted as if he was so outraged, so mad with the CCID district, right? He acted like he was so outraged, so mad about the CCID district. No. And he tried to kill that bill twice, right? He tried to kill that CCID bill twice, right? You think that's a good thing? But this is what he was doing backdoor while he was publicly trying to floss so black folk can say, oh, right, Earl is leading. So he tried to kill it twice. But you know what? He was also asking to have his district and his funeral home added to the CCID district. Go do your homework. Go look it up. So there was this public outrage about being so angry, right, with the CCID district. But behind the scenes, he was working to have his district and his funeral home included in the CCID district. And I don't blame him for wanting to have that in there, but the hypocrisy of trying to publicly kill it, but silently work for your stuff to be included in there. And do y'all remember all of the controversy about the graveyard that he has, the overgrown weeds and folk not finding headstones and all of that? Do you remember that? Integrity? This is a leader? This is Earl Banks. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface on Earl Banks. We're going to give him the media attention that he wants. But this is who the Hines County supervisors listen to, because he dangled a carrot. He has no power at the Capitol. Zero influence. You would think he's been at the Capitol since 93, that he would be on this committee. Let me tell you something. You would think that since he's been at the Capitol since 93, I would dare say that in the House, he's the senior most elected person in Hines County in the House, right? There's a select committee on the Capitol and Metro revitalization, namely Jackson, to do something with Jackson. He's not on that committee. Why? Because he's ineffective. Why? Because he's always screaming and crying wolf and foul, and he argues about everything, right? Hey, Dana, how are you? He argues about everything. And so when you do that, you end up shutting yourself out. All right, so we'll continue our research. We'll continue this conversation and show you, because, you know, and he's 70-something years old, so maybe it'll kick in that he doesn't need to run again, but we've got to do better. We've absolutely got to do better. We send these people to the Capitol, and we don't follow up, because really that work is kind of boring for most of us, but it's important work that they do at the Capitol. It's very, very, very important work, right? Very important work. But we'll continue to follow it, right? I got more research to do, got lots of more information. But we've got a Power Pack show, so we've got to turn our attention now to something fun. Let's talk about the Grammys that happened on a Sunday. Admittedly, I didn't watch it, but I've been watching some clips, been doing a little research. And so earlier today, I reached out to Tambra Cherie, and I was like, are there any entertainment reporters around here, right? And she was like, other than me, Othor? I was like, I know you, right? You do it every day on 97.7. I get it. But I thought that I was going to have to jump through hoops, you know, because she's this big star now, right? She does media all around the country. So I thought that I was going to have to jump through hoops, and I thought I was going to have to call those folk at Belle Collective and say, let me have Tambra Cherie for a few minutes. And I just thought that process was going to be too long. She said, I got this. This is not a Belle Collective conversation. This is me and my media. So I'm excited to welcome to the platform tonight Miss Tambra Cherie, the Midday Diva at 97.7 and the superstar of Belle Collective. Good evening to you, ma'am.
Hey, Othor, how are you?
I am.
Look, I'm still laughing because you sound like, I'm like, who do you have to ask? Wait, what? I was like, what is it for? Wait a minute. Ask who?
Hey, I got so tickled when you said, I got to tell Othor all that I did.
I was like, wait, what?
Absolutely. I am so glad you're here. But like I said, I knew you did all of this stuff, but I did not know that I could get you so quickly. You know, I thought that I had to jump through all those hoops, but I am so glad you're here. So glad that you were able to make yourself available to this. So welcome, ma'am. You look good, and you're representing AKA tonight. You're representing AKAs tonight.
I know, my pink and green, right? Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
So good deal. So listen, so I am trying to diversify myself, right? So I recognize that I got to do more pop culture stuff, more entertainment stuff, right? And so this is my first stab at that tonight. So you're the first to help me walk through this conversation. So let's talk about the Grammys. You know, and I think you said something so funny to me earlier today when first she said, listen, the Grammys were so long, so boring. Let's get a specific focus. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yes, the Grammys are like very long. And we were talking, like I told you, I've gone to the Grammys. I've sat in those seats and I left early because it can get 4 hours long.
Absolutely.
And because there's so many genres of music and there's so many genres that you do not know. Like it's just you know what you work in every day. You know, there's Latin, there's classical, there's rock. There's so many genres. And like I remember, like you look at the person next to you, and I'm going to be honest, you know, the person that was sitting next to me one year, like she's black like me, but it was so many people we did not know. Right. Because it's just like, it's so many genres of music, but it's a good show. I will say that, you know, I enjoy it more when I'm actually there.
Right.
I appreciate it more.
That's right.
Yes. It's
there are
a lot of moving parts when you're there. You
see all of the happenings when you're there live. Yes. But watching it at home.
As opposed to watching it on TV, I did not watch it all. I didn't watch it all. I did not. I watched some parts that I felt, you know, I rewind and I fast forward. I'll be honest about that. I did. I did. I watched what a lot of my audience watches.
Right. So. Absolutely. But that's the sign of a good entertainment person. You know what your audience wants and you want to be plugged in to talk about it. So that's good. That's very, very good. Speaking of what your audience wants, let's start with Kanye West's wife.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Let's start with her fashion ensemble. Talk to me. What are your thoughts there?
What fashion ensemble? Let's start there. Like, what fashion ensemble? There is not one. Like, we were talking like best dressed and worst dressed. Like, if there was anybody else in the running for worst dress, she knocked everybody out of that spot. Like, she is what you don't do, ever do, never do. Like, no. Like, absolutely not.
And if you're going to do that, and I think I said this to you earlier, you may not comment on it, but if you're going to do that, at least have a body. Come on, man.
Have a body to do it? Yes. It's the Grammys red carpet. And like we were talking, I was talking earlier with Gary with the T, and he literally said, she looks sedated, like she's controlled, like a doll. And I said, you know what? That's what he wanted Kim Kardashian to do, but she wasn't going. No, she was her own woman. She wasn't going. Absolutely. This young lady, like, it's like blink twice if you are not okay. Like, seriously.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yes. Like, no, it's like, it seems like she's some type of control going on with her. Like, she doesn't have anything on. That's what I'm like, what is there to talk about?
Right.
like it's what you don't do.
It's what you don't do.
Absolutely never.
So who looked good to you Sunday night? Who looked good?
Everyone else.
Everybody.
everyone else, absolutely everyone else. No, seriously, I did watch some of the red carpet for sure. I loved Alicia Keys. And she had on this headpiece that almost came down like earrings that were absolutely gorgeous. Cardi B. I loved her.
Cardi B did look good.
She looked amazing. I thought like everyone else.
Like you said, everyone else.
yes. And I think she had, that's a Roberto, that's that, how do you say his last name? Cavelli? I think that's his dress. Yes. That's his dress. It is
Cardi
tailored
B
to
looked
her
amazing.
body. Yes, it is tailored to her body for sure.
Yeah,
like she looked amazing. Everyone else. And Babyface looked good. When we talk about guys, he had that collar on. He looked really good. And matter of fact, since we're sitting here talking, I mean, both of us are actually personalities. Did you see how they did him on the red carpet? The Associated Press reporters.
Yes. That was awful.
What? It was just so disrespectful.
It was so disrespectful.
Won like 12 or 13 Grammys, like himself, you know?
Right. But you know, when you have folk that are
Colin is, and he
exactly when you have folk that are uninformed, out of touch, they say foolish things like that. You know what I mean? That was so incredible.
It was, and I get that they're trying to say, oh, but there's so much going on. No, ma'am. You hollered in the middle of this man's, he was literally mid-sentence answering a question, and you hollered twice over him, and so much to where he was like, oh, you want them? Go do that. And he handed them the mic.
Absolutely.
He was very professional about it. Like, go do that. And walked off.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so disrespectful.
Because I can tell you one thing. I don't think I would have been that calm in my response in the way I handled that. I just don't think that I would have, man.
It was disrespectful. It was unprofessional. And I knew, let me tell you something. That story went viral very quickly. It was trending immediately that she had to literally apologize. And that girl, that reporter, she took the time while she was on the red carpet to go turn off her comments on her Instagram because people started going to her Instagram immediately.
Yes. I think you're absolutely right. Nettie says, go do that. Reminded her of, take care, baby, I'm out. I'm gone.
Oh, my goodness. So, yes, but you know what? And Q Watson, I can see your comments too. Like literally, she actually said, she was an AP reporter. So somebody said they hire influencers. No, that lady was an AP reporter that was reporting for them.
Absolutely. I mean, because all of the big networks are there, bloggers are there, you know, it's just crazy. It's absolutely.
But the Associated Press, they did, you know, release a statement that they apologized. She released a statement that she apologized because you just messed up.
Absolutely.
That was not the way to handle that.
Not at all. Total disrespectful. So let's talk about the big moment at the Grammys. The big moment was Beyonce, and I appreciate that clip you sent me from last year. And I should have downloaded it and had my producer play it, but I really appreciate that. So talk about your conversation a bit from last year, and then we'll go to this year.
Because, so last year, this was on the same stage of the Grammys. You may remember that Jay-Z won Global Impact Award. Jay-Z was on that same stage last year, and he talked about how Beyonce has won the absolute most Grammys in history. Beyonce has won probably 33, 34, 35 Grammys, period.
Right.
She has the most Grammys. He sat on that stage and said she has not won pretty much Album of the Year, which is the biggest award of the night.
Right.
She has never won that. And he sat there on that stage and he said, your own system does not work. He talked about the Grammys. He said, your own system does not work.
Absolutely.
This was just last year on that stage.
And might I add, I think the world owes Jay-Z an apology because he was absolutely right.
She's won 34, 35 Grammys. How can you win that many Grammys, but you have never won the biggest award of the night? And of course, that's Album of the Year.
Correct.
Fast forward, March, she puts out Cowboy Carter, a country album. When I tell you, look, I like Beyonce and Jay-Z because they are brilliant.
Yes.
They are marketing geniuses. Beyonce
Exactly.
works hard. She puts in the work. You know, she's from Texas, so she is used to country. She said that. You know, so this time around, and I saw a headline that said the Grammys gave Beyonce the night that the Country Music Awards did not, because she was not awarded a Country Music Award. Let's also mention that.
Yep, absolutely.
Fast forward to this year. She wins Best Album of the Year. She wins Best Country Album of the Year. And I'll be honest, I get the best. Let's be honest, and if I'm being very honest, I do think Beyonce has actually had a better album than Cowboy Carter when it comes to Best Album of the Year.
I absolutely agree. We
agree with that, right?
Yes.
There are some other albums that she's had that was very good albums.
Absolutely.
They've been nominated, but they've never won.
Right.
And I get it. If this is the award that you really want and you work hard for it, that's what you do. And that's what she did. That's absolutely what she did. So I'm proud that she did win Best Country Album. I'm proud that she won Best Album of the Year, because it's the very first time. And I will be honest, I think I looked it up. There are only 3 other women in the history of the Grammys who has actually won Best Album of the Year. Let's go back. I think it is Natalie Cole.
Wow.
In 1992.
Wow.
Whitney Houston in 1994, and Lauryn Hill in 1999. I take that back. It's 3 black women who have won the actual actual award.
And since you're giving
so
out,
now she's 4. It's 4 black women who have actually won that award.
Now, absolutely. And since you're doing stats, but Beyonce becomes the first black woman in 50 years to win a Grammy in the country music genre.
Period. It's never been done.
Amazing.
It's never been done. It's never been done.
And let me. So I want to speak to the brilliancy of Jay-Z and Beyonce, and this is coming from somebody who thinks Beyonce is an amazing entertainer. Not necessarily the best singer I've ever heard, but she's an amazing entertainer. But she's the real deal. She's the whole package. She has everything. But in my mind, she and Jay-Z are brilliant. Jay-Z prophesied a year ago, right, that she hadn't won. She's won everything else, but she's never won Album of the Year. Yeah. They know what those judges, those critics, and all those people are looking for. To your point, here comes Cowboy Carter, right? And she wins. That's brilliant. That's work. And what we do not do as black folk usually, we hear the criticism, we hear it, we get caught up in the criticism, but we don't do anything about it, right? We don't change anything. They did. They were very intentional with their work.
Yes. I think this was the year, because even I think the Weeknd, he was at the Grammys and he performed, and he's the one that called the Grammys corrupt. So this was the year. This was the year they paid attention.
Absolutely. You know, another thing that she did, and I can't remember what game it was, but the game was on Netflix, and it was in her hometown of Houston, whatever that NFL game was. Day. Right, it was on Christmas Day. Absolutely. Christmas Day. Yes. And that halftime show was explosive. It was fire in every sense of the word. And what that halftime performance said to me, I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to show y'all in the country music world. You won't recognize me, but I'm going to pull these other country music artists in with me, and I'm going to do my thing for the world. And it was fire. Yes, it was. It was. It was. And of course, I loved her. You know, she did an interview after the Grammys as well. She talked about, you know, you should see the look on her face when she won Best Country Album. I know, there it is right there. There it is right there. Yes. And look at Jay-Z in the back as well. But look, that is going to be a meme for years to come for Beyonce. She looks shocked. She looks like I have won the country award. Like, yes, Best Country Album. Like, she looked very shocked. And she did the interview. She said she was, not only was she just, you know, super, super excited, but she was happy that her daughter
was able to see it. She had her daughter there. She was able to see it. She was super proud of her. So there's just so many. I'm proud of her just because of what they did. And then, of course, you announced the Cowboy Carter tour.
Right?
Look,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to show you who gave her that award. Let's look at this picture.
Oh, yeah.
And this is historic. Look at this. Look at that.
Yes.
Historic.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And then when she won Best Album of the Year, I don't know if you saw Taylor Swift and Jay-Z, they did a toast. They had their wine glasses.
I saw that.
Champagne glasses, and they toast because
Taylor
Swift was happy for her.
And whose champagne was that she was drinking? I read it, but now I don't remember. It's some.
You know what? I don't know.
It's some famous somebody. I read it and I didn't write it down, and now I don't remember. But it's somebody black, and it's an artist, somebody famous, but I cannot remember for the life of me right now. But those highlights of the Grammys were really, really good. Like you,
yes.
At least you watched some of it. I didn't watch it.
I did. I mean, I think the biggest night of the award was definitely of the night of the award, or should I say, of the award show, was Best Album of the Year, and of course it went to Beyonce. There were some other. Kendrick Lamar, he swept the Grammys.
They not like us.
Yes, he swept the Grammys. He did. Kendrick Lamar, he swept the Grammys. I think he did, what was it, Best Song, Best Music Video, Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song. Like, he kept winning back.
Every category he was nominated for, he won.
Did. Yes, he did. And now he's in New Orleans getting ready to be the halftime for the Super Bowl. Like,
right.
Yes.
Right.
So on those aspects, like the Grammys had some, it had some good moments. It had some good moments. It had some good moments. Alicia Keys, she did win the Global Impact Award. That's the award that Jay-Z actually won last year. She did an amazing speech. She talked about how hard it is in this industry for female producers. Yes. So her speech was really
her speech was really good. She talked about that DEI stuff that Trump is cutting out too. I was like,
yes. That's what you call using the platform for good.
Absolutely.
Yes. You see what Jay-Z did last year, and you see what happened.
Hello. You're absolutely right. Yes. Cameron, you are a breath of fresh air.
Well, thank you.
You are a breath of fresh air. Listen, we've got to figure out how to do this more often, because you bring so much positivity and so much energy, and I just absolutely appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you for having me, Othor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, you too.
We appreciate it. That's Tambra Cherie from 97.7 and the hit show on Belle Collective. We appreciate her insight. Oh, Roger put up the champagne information. Ace of Spades. And who owns that, though? I'm trying to figure out the name. Who owns Ace of Spades? It's one of these. I'm not going to say rapper, because it may or may not be a rapper, but I do know it's a famous person. I can't remember who owns Ace of Spades, but that's what they toast with at the Grammy. So that was really, 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 really cool. Big night. All right, so we've got it's Jay-Z. That's Jay-Z's duh. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So listen, in just a moment, we'll be joined by my buddy, my brother, Griffin, and we're going to talk about the municipal races, specifically the mayoral race. But I do want to take just a quick moment to talk about my SAG to Suits event that's coming up on June 14th. Listen, we absolutely need your help. Guys, we talk a lot about problems in this city. We talk a lot about problems in this city. We talk a lot about problems with our young people specifically, right? We talk a lot, right? We are keyboard bandits, and we're keyboard advocates, and some of us are even keyboard thugs, right? But we talk a lot about our young people. We talk a lot about juvenile crime. We talk a lot about, being afraid to go out and all of those kinds of things. But far too often, we don't back up our talk with any action, right? With any worthwhile action. Here's an opportunity for you to support something good. I want to get 100 young Black boys in suits. I know what a suit did for me. My very first suit, I know what it did for me. I know how it changed my mindset about Black men. It garnered a larger space of respect for Black men, right? The world looks at you differently when you're dressed. I know sometimes we say it's unfair the way people judge us based on our clothes. Look at all the crazy things that was said about what Mayor Lumumba had on. And it did bother me, when he went to sign up. It didn't bother me at all. But depending on the space that you are in, we are judged based on how we dress, what we wear. We are judged. I didn't have a problem with what he had on. I wish I could afford it. I thought he looked good. I thought it worked, right? But far too often, all we do is talk. All we do is complain. All we do is talk. Here's an opportunity for you to support. Help us buy suits. We want to put 100 boys in suits and pair them with 100 men across this metro. And we want to pour life skills into them. We want to take a day to just pour into them. We're going to also pour into the mentors. The goal is to hopefully form and develop a real relationship and follow these kids through school, right? We've got to invest. Can you imagine if we save these boys, what will happen to our girls and the meaningful relationships that they could have? Because we are a product of our own environment. We can't be afraid of them. There's a QR code there. Scan it. Help us put 100 boys in suits. And if you know some young men that would benefit from this, reach out to us and let us know. Let's do more than talk. We talk a lot, right? We talk a lot. Let's do more than talk. We talk a lot. Let's do more than talk. We got this event coming up on Saturday, June 14th. We'll be at the Old Capitol Inn. Can you imagine 100 boys walking into the Old Capitol Inn? We're going to take them through a dining etiquette presentation. We're just going to pour life into them, and you can help us. You can absolutely help us. All right, so make sure you do that. We are awaiting Greg. Hopefully, I saw him in the comment. Let's get him on the feed so that we can switch gears to our next conversation. Make sure we're not having any issues with him signing in here. But yes, so as we await him, as we await Greg's arrival, please consider supporting this event, right? Please consider supporting Saks Suits. We can change things, right? We can change it. Greg may be having, keep saying Mike and Cam blocked. Oh, Lord. He's updating. Oh, he's updating the settings. All right, he should be getting on in just a little bit. So we're going to turn our attention. Our conversation with Greg is going to be about these upcoming municipal races. First of all, and I don't want to jump the gun. First of all, I think there are entirely too many people running for mayor. There are entirely too many people running in Ward 6. Look at all of those names that are running for mayor of Jackson. That's utterly ridiculous. But it speaks to how fragmented we are as a city. It speaks to how divided we are as a city. That's far too many people running. That's awful, man. That's awful. Clinton, one person signed up and he automatically wins. One person. And I know Clinton is small, I get it. Right now, only 3, maybe 4 people have qualified to run for mayor in Birmingham, if we want to compare cities. We have 22 people running for mayor. Right? 22 people. 22 people. You're right, Quinn. Quinn says, that's my issue. They are vote splitting. Them folk have no desire to win. None. You're right. Absolutely none. A lot of them have no desire to win. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I think a lot of them are paid operatives. They are being paid to run, paid to be a disruption, right? Paid to cause ruckus. Ooh, Greg signed in right on time. Right on time. We got to bring him in. So if you follow his Facebook, Greg has some very enlightening conversations, and I wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to chop it up with him. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Othor. Thank you for having me on tonight. Hey, I want to say good to be back, even though we're not in the studio, but good to be back.
I know that's right, man. I know that's right. It's absolutely wonderful to have you here, my brother. Absolutely wonderful. Let's not waste any time. Let's not waste any time. Let's just start with the mayor's race. And if we have time left, we'll talk about some of these city council races as well. Brother, 22 people are running for mayor, 14 of whom are Democrats that will meet April the 1st, and the rest of them will meet in June. By comparison, today, as of today, maybe 3 or 4 people have signed up to run for mayor in Birmingham. One person has signed up to run for mayor in Clinton, and he automatically wins by default.
Right.
One person, right?
Exactly.
He automatically wins by default. Let's just start with this question. What does that say to you? 22 people running for mayor in Jackson. What does that say to you?
Well, it speaks to a couple of things, in my opinion. It speaks to the current state of our political landscape. It's very chaotic. It's tumultuous. I think it also speaks to our lack of engagement. And I think that's evidenced by the low voter turnout from the previous election. Because, and I'm not trying to disparage any of these candidates personally. I don't know many of them personally to have an opinion about them personally, but there's no way that 22 people truly feel they are qualified to run a city. That, to me, speaks to, again, our lack of involvement, because if we were more civically engaged as a community at large, then you wouldn't have 22 people running, because you know for a fact that you're going to be vetted by an informed citizenry, and they're going to smell the stink on you a mile away. You've got people, I'm sure, this is just my opinion based on my limited experience, you've got some people who have probably been encouraged in some form or another to run just to be a distraction.
Right.
I'm sure that's the case. You've got some people who are running because they themselves may just see an opportunity to get in the fray, and possibly somebody will say, hey, man, why don't you just come on over here and join our team, or drop out, and incentivize that type of approach. But I just think it speaks to, Brad had a good point, and I don't always agree with Brad on things, but we do see eye to eye on some things. And one of the things he pointed out, he said, man, it's just like everybody thinking they can rap. Everybody's not a rapper. Everybody can't be mayor. And it's almost like a free-for-all. They've got this wrestling event called the Royal Rumble, where anybody can get in, and whoever's the last man standing wins. And that's what it looks like to me. It looks like the Royal Rumble of the mayoral race.
Got it. Yeah, like you, I don't agree with Brad regularly. Probably quite infrequently do I agree with him. And I didn't see that post, but I do agree with that. But I also think, if truth be told, I also think that this is an indictment to the current leadership. I think it's a serious indictment. And whether you support him or not, I do think it's an indictment. But I got to be honest. I am absolutely glad that he's in the race, right?
Well, I agree. I was pleasantly surprised, and I know a lot of people are probably surprised that I said that.
I tried to tell some of his loudest distractors that he was going to do it, right? I tried to tell him. And so I think the problem for a lot of us is that we put our personal opinions and personal feelings in this thing, when your feelings and your opinions don't matter. It's the color of the law that matters, right?
Right.
I noticed you made a post, or you reposted the Clarion Ledger's article about his campaign finance reports. Well, he's turned them in.
Right.
The omen is on that reporter and the Clarion Ledger to get them, right? You have to follow the rules. LBT has it, right? So if the Clarion Ledger didn't do their due diligence, to file it and make the open records request in time, that's on them. Don't blame the city, right? So not only did he file his campaign finance reports, but the stuff that's in question that the feds have done this whole case against him, it's on there. He said to all of these people, I think I can win this. Contrary to how you feel, I have nothing to hide. That was the biggest flex of all time.
I would agree. I was, again, and that's why I was pleasantly surprised that he did file his campaign report, because had he not done that, of course, he wouldn't have been able to qualify for mayor, and that would have cast an even darker cloud on his assertion that he is innocent. And I've maintained for the longest time that while I do think there is something that needs to be investigated, I don't wish anyone to be put in jail. As a matter of fact, I would hope that he is found not guilty. That would mean that his integrity, at least in this regard, is intact. Right. Because regardless of how I feel about the mayor's performance as a mayor, this bribery scandal is a separate thing in and of itself.
Correct.
That is a different level where your integrity, you mentioned someone about integrity and ethics earlier when we were talking about when you were talking about Representative Banks. Yes. And I think that is a separate thing for the mayor. I may take exception with the way he's been an administrator, right, but by no means do I want to make it seem like that I question him and his integrity, because I don't know him personally to say he's that type of guy that he would take money or that he would steal. I pray, I hope that he is found innocent. I hope that he's innocent. I hope this is wrong. I hope this is not a thing. So I want to make that very clear. And I was pleasantly surprised, because for me, even though I still have some things that I take exception with, for me, filing this campaign report lines up or tracks with his statement about I'm not going to operate as if I'm guilty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is not strange that folk file campaign finance reports late. Now, I don't know if everybody is 3 or 4 years late filing theirs, but it really is not a strange thing for people to file campaign finance reports late. And so, again, I think we get so wrapped up into our own personal feelings, right? And most folk are not able to separate. But I'm going to also say this. With 22 people in the race, do you know who that helps?
Oh, it helps him tremendously.
Absolutely.
I've had several people contact me via text messages and inbox, and that is the exact sentiment down the line. And these are people who have held appointed positions in previous administrations, people who are part of administrations in other towns and other states, and they've all said the same thing. They have said, Greg, this increases his chances of winning.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. And I don't care how many press conferences you have. I don't care how many endorsements you have. I don't care who's endorsing you. Endorsements don't vote. Press conferences don't vote. The people vote. And if you can't get to wards 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 over there and get those folk riled up to support you, I don't care how many endorsements you have. And so with 22 people in the race, I absolutely think it increases his chance by at least 30%. At least 30%.
I don't know about the percentage, but it definitely increases his chance, and especially when you take into account the low voter turnout from the previous elections. Now, we've got some work to do to not have that same abysmal turnout. But again, agreeing with you, and to your point, it definitely helps his chances, without a doubt.
Absolutely. So looking at the list, it's at least probably 17 folk that I don't think stand a snowball chance in hell.
So I would let me look at the list. I'm gonna agree with you on that. Let's see. I count them off without saying their names. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm at 14 already.
You're right.
So yeah, you probably right. Yeah, you can count them on one hand.
Right.
You can count on one hand who
Absolutely.
has a chance. I agree with that. You can count on one hand, and he's one of them. The current mayor is one of those people who has a chance. But the rest, I agree. There's several names on here that do not have a chance.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. And I don't think anybody possess that level of arrogance to think that they can run a city. I don't think those people on this list really possess that level of arrogance to think that they could run this city. It's unbelievable.
And that's kind of my point. It's almost as if this, in and of itself, evidences that there are other factors at play here. When you've got this many people who have put their name in the hat, you just have to say to yourself, what else is what's driving this? Because it's not just, I'm agreeing with you. Is what I'm saying. It can't. Everybody doesn't have this level of arrogance or confidence that, or even the skill set to think that they can do this.
Definitely not the skill set. Definitely not the skill set, man. Let's quickly jump over to Ward 1, man. Ward 1 has changed, man. I worked hard crunching numbers. Ward 1 has been leaning Democratic for a long time, but I don't think that there has been a organized, strong Democratic candidate. The unfortunate thing in my mind is that Black candidates, and particularly Black Democratic candidates, we don't have the luxury of doing only one thing. We don't have the luxury of just asking you for your vote, right? We don't have that luxury. We've got to do 4 or 5 different things at the same time that we're asking you for your vote. We got to get you registered. We got to make sure that you're voting where you actually live and you're not going back to your old neighborhood and voting, right? So we've got to educate you. We got to work on voter apathy. Then we gotta get you registered. Then we got to get you to the polls. So we don't have the luxury of just asking for your vote. And to that point, there has not been an organized, strong Democratic candidate that could lead in Ward 1. But Ward 1 is heavily Democratic now.
It is, and I can speak to that because, as you know, I live in Ward 1, and when I say this next part, I don't want people to take it out of context or take it the wrong way as if I'm being arrogant or cocky. But over the past several years, I've been approached. You and I have had this conversation. I've been approached about running in Ward 1, and that speaks to the ward changing. The demographics changing, the makeup of this ward changing, because people realize that, and I think this speaks to, honestly, a larger movement maybe in America. I think, this is my opinion, but definitely here in Jackson. Democrat, Republicans, we know there are some stark differences. Let me be very clear about that. But on each side of the aisle, I think people are realizing the label doesn't necessarily drive what it is that you stand for. I can't, I've had several conversations with white Republicans in Ward 1, about running for city council. And they would say that they would support me, as a Democrat. So the point I'm making is I agree with you on that. It is changing. And I don't think to that point, that's why Ashby Foote is running as an independent to a degree, because Ashby Foote, in my opinion, doesn't stand a chance. He's not going to win.
Listen, man, I think that you're right. So I did some research, and I'm going to address Trey's comment in a minute because I got varying opinions on Dorsey Carson. But Ashby Foote in 2021 ran unopposed, right? He ran unopposed, and yet his numbers were dismal at best, right?
Right. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible.
I mean, he didn't even get 3,000 votes when he ran unopposed in 2021, right? Didn't even get 3,000 votes. And so this strategy and this notion that he needed to run as an independent to give Northeast Jackson white Republicans an opportunity to vote for mayor. Here's the thing. Mississippi has open primaries. So whether there's a Republican primary in Ward 1 or not, I don't have to vote for you, right?
I do not. That's right. Primaries
are open. And the other thing is, crunching these numbers on Sunday made me also realize that even Republicans are not party loyalists in municipal government. They are not. They may on a national level, they all want Trump. But in municipal government, they are not loyal.
They are not. They are not. They are not.
Because in 2021, there was a Republican mayoral candidate, right, on the ballot. Didn't get no votes. No votes.
There you go. There you go. That's right. That's right. Yeah, he doesn't stand a chance. And you know, not to get too deep into it, but part of being a council person is you have to be able to connect with your constituents on a level beyond campaigning. He does not do that. Right. I have been in these places where Ashbyfoot has been when there are events and the rubbing elbows things that you have to do and all that shit when you think you're about to do something. So I was at all these events. He tried to work a room, brother. Nobody gives him any attention when he tries to work a room. It's just like, oh, there's Ash. And it's not disrespectful, let me be clear, but there's no interaction. There's no genuine interaction between him and his constituents. It's just like, hey, Councilman Foot, and they move on. There's no talk about what's going on in the ward, what's going on your street. Good job on these initiatives that you help champion. Because I'm paying attention to this. I'm listening to all this. There aren't any of those conversations taking place when he's in the room and he walks in and he tries to work the room. It's very standoffish.
Wow. Yeah, I think he shot himself in the foot. No pun intended. No pun intended. I think he shot himself in the foot this time around. I will also say that there's some organized people running in Ward 1 this time around.
There are. Yes.
And even the Green lady who's running as an independent, she seems very, very organized.
There she is. When we were prior to people announcing, of course, like I said, I'm in these conversations for consideration. I was thinking about running, and honestly, the reason I don't think I'm ready. First of all, and I just don't think this is the time. As I was getting to talk to people about it, because again, it's a lot of chaos. So her name was out there, and I also thought, okay, she's got a lot of support. Seems like she's fairly solid. I've never met her, haven't spoken to her, but the people who she's kind of surrounded herself with and that are supporting her are people that I would look to. They have some integrity, and they're also connected to the community, whereby they do community work, and they're kind of supporting her as well. She's organized. I mentioned on one of my live pieces, we got a young lady, and forgive me because I cannot recall her last name right, but her name's Jasmine. She was on the ground Sunday, Othor.
I saw signs on Sunday when I was moving around. She was on the ground. Organized. She appears to be organized.
Yep. She was on the ground. She was riding around with one of our neighbors, touring the ward, touring the neighborhood, asking questions about how can I help if I'm elected. That's important. That speaks to an intentional ground game. Right. That's how you get elected. That's how you get elected. And it's a hell of an introduction. I'll give you that. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And Stephen Thompson is running as a Democrat over in Ward 1. So, and I think he's a very organized guy. I think he's getting ready to hit the ground running. I think we got good people running in Ward 1. And I'm excited about it. I do think Ashby may have shot himself in the foot this time around. And that's a sad commentary. Brother, we could go on and on and on. We've got to do this a little more frequently, and I think that we've got to connect next week so that we could talk about this town hall, because I think it's imperative.
Yeah.
I don't think
we've got to do it.
Yeah,
we've got to do it.
We cannot not do it, right? We can.
I agree. So let's make sure we connect on that. We'll get it done. We'll get it going, brother. I'm with you.
Absolutely, man. Listen, you always provide valuable insight, man. I am glad to reconnect with you in this space.
Yes, sir. Same to you, Othor. Same to you. And thank you again for having me on. I appreciate that.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We appreciate that. So big thanks.
Have a good evening, everybody. Peace.
Big thanks to Greg for his insight. We are appreciative of that. As always, you'll hear more from him as we move through this space of municipal elections. Barbara asks who's running in 4 besides Grizel. There's a man named Malcolm May who's running in Ward 4 as well. John had a comment. I want to go back to it. I didn't want to get out of here without addressing John Knight's comment because I thought it was very good. John says, it's just so messed up how disconnected our city is about city government and how it's ran. Othor, not one city official position is an easy task. You're absolutely right about that. But the way they play tug of war with each other makes it harder to focus on the issues of our city. I think you are 100% right. There's too much infighting, and that alleviates an opportunity to focus on what really matters, to focus on real serious issues. It's just too much infighting there, too much infighting. And Trey Daniels had a comment about Dorsey Carson. He said Dorsey almost won, and he was very well organized. I don't really remember numbers. I don't remember numbers, so I can't comment on. He came close in winning, so I can't, and I won't comment there because I don't have numbers in front of me, and I don't remember numbers. But to the point of him being well organized, it just seemed at the time for me when he was running that he was running for all the wrong reasons. In my mind, Dorsey was not running to represent Ward 1. He was running just because he wanted to hold elected office and because people were in his head telling him also that he should run. And I was told he even thought about, running this time around, but would have lost again. His chances of winning, he's run for a couple of things. So I would label him, not by a long shot, as being organized when he ran. I remember clearly him running not for the betterment or to work for the people, but for selfish reasons. And for that, I couldn't support that at all. Hey guys, it's 9:01. That's all our time for tonight. Thank you so much for sharing with us. If you like these kinds of conversations and this kind of information, support Black media. Please support us. Our Cash App information is running. Quinn says, I just hope everyone pays attention to this mayoral race. We can mess this up. You're right. And let me hang on to that for just a second. Let me unpack that a little bit. This mayoral race is very important. People are trying to buy this race. The folk over in Northeast Jackson, they are trying to buy this race. Folk over in Woodland Hills and Fundren, they are trying to buy this race. Some influential Black business folk and attorneys and all that, they're trying to buy this race. I want to remind Black folk, and we didn't get a chance to talk about Ben Allen's post, but we'll talk about it on Thursday. Because that's a whole hour conversation itself. But Black folk, I want you to recognize that folk are trying to buy this race. I don't care who endorses who. Endorsements don't vote. I want to be very, very, very clear about that. Endorsements don't vote. We vote. We have the power. This is the only time the playing field is leveled. That's when we go into those voting booths. It's the only time the playing field is leveled. We get to decide who we want to represent us, not those folk money and however much money any of these candidates are raising. That should not be the deciding factor. Elon, whatever his name is, Musk, bought Donald Trump's race. We've got to be engaged. You're right, Marcus. We've got to be engaged. We've got to be engaged. We get to decide who we want to be mayor. And I can tell you this, I am absolutely excited that Chokwe Antar Lumumba, now I don't think he's been the best mayor by no stretch of the imagination, but here's what I can tell you. I am 100% excited that he signed up. I'm 100% excited that he got his financial report stuff done. I'm excited about that. I am absolutely excited about that because you know what? I don't want folk attempting to buy this race. I want us to show them that we are capable of deciding who the next mayor is. Not Northeast Jackson's money, not Fondren's money, not Woodland Hills money, none of that. We get to decide who our next mayor will be. That's on us. That's on us. That's our responsibility, not your money. Keep it, save it. Money does not vote. Signs don't vote. Endorsements don't vote. I can tell you this. And this is how I operate. I'm not saying that you should do it. Just telling you how I'm doing it. If a person fails to ask me for my support, I'm not giving it to them. Point blank, period. Can't just assume. Look at who's on the ground. Look at who's walking your neighborhood, knocking on doors and asking you to support them. Pay attention. Pay attention. Quinn, that's a word right there. That's a word right there. Quinn says, me too. There's one other good candidate, but if they're putting money on it, we might as well stick to what we know. That's a word right there. We get to decide who the next mayor of Jackson will be. That's our broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. Have a great night, everybody.